Welcome back to The Ed Show. He is a public servant who has not had a hard time throughout his career telling people what he thinks and what he believes in.
In 1981, I was persuaded by some friends to run for mayor of Burlington, the largest city in our state. Nobody but nobody thought that we had a chance to win. We did.
Today, everyone is talking about Senator Bernie Sanders. But back in 1981, Sanders won his first election by just 10 votes.
I would like to see somebody who speaks for the underdog, for the people who don't have decent health care benefits. I would like to see a candidate who has the guts to have a vision that America could be a land for all people, not just the land controlled by the super rich.
Throughout the years, Bernie Sanders' message has been consistent.
Go to Alabama, go to Oklahoma, stand on a street corner and say, do you believe that we should cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid and give tax breaks to billionaires? And they will laugh at you.
From the start, Sanders made headlines as an unapologetic socialist and a champion of progressive causes.
I think the reason that we win and continue to win is that increasingly people are frustrated and angry about a two-party system which is dominated by big money and which does not pay attention to the needs of working people or elderly people or poor people.
Bernie Sanders moved up to the U.S. House of Representatives in 1991. Long before it was a hot-button issue, Sanders addressed income inequality in one of his first floor speeches.
At the very least, we must demand that those individuals, the upper-income people who have seen their real income soar during the 1980s, start paying their fair share of taxes.
After 16 years serving as Vermont congressman, Bernie made a run for the Senate and won.
It is long overdue for the United States Senate and House to start representing the working families of America and not just the rich and the powerful.
In 2010, Sanders' 8-hour filibuster against extending the Bush-era tax cuts helped him storm the national stage.
That we don't need to drive up the national debt by giving tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires.
Now, Sanders is running for president. In the face of big money and big-name brands, there's no doubt Bernie Sanders faces an uphill battle. But in progressive circles, Sanders is celebrated as the underdog. He continues to find success by following a very simple formula.
I think if you talk common sense to the people and you say the government is supposed to represent the needs of those people who today are not getting a fair shake, you know what? They'll vote for you.
From the mayor of Burlington, Vermont, to the United States Senate, Bernie Sanders has taken a very interesting and clear path to this very day. The senator joins me again this evening here on The Ed Show. Senator, we never talk about you that much. We're always talking about issues. Why did you get into politics? Why are you doing this for a living?
You know, Ed, I grew up in a lower middle class family. My dad came to this country from Poland without a nickel in his pocket, and he never made much money. We lived in a 3.5-room rent-controlled apartment in Brooklyn before I moved to Vermont. And it was very clear to me as a kid the impact that money had on my family, the stress, the arguments that my parents had, you know, seeing other kids having benefits that certain other kids didn't have. And so from my earliest years, I understood the importance of income security, the need for people to have at least a minimum standard of living to enjoy the kind of life that they're entitled to. That's kind of what's motivated me.
That has motivated you throughout the years?
I've never forgot those experiences.
Hey, it's interesting. Some of the sound bites that you had back in yesteryear matched to your philosophy today. Has it always been that way?
Yeah, the people of Vermont will tell you, oh, God, not again. He's saying the same thing for 30 years.
But your focus on issues is the same.
But the other thing is, I think the report indicated, more and more people are catching on. I was talking about these issues 20 years ago before it was popular. But this issue of income and wealth inequality, Ed, it's not only an economic issue or a political issue. It is a moral issue. Mm-hmm. It is a moral issue. And by the way, you know the guy who speaks about that most forcefully in this world? It's the Pope, Pope Francis. He raises this as a moral issue. Are we content to have the highest rate in this country of childhood poverty and at the same time have a proliferation of millionaires and billionaires? That is a moral issue. And I think the American people say, no, that's not who we are as a people.
Now, when you go to Iowa and you say that, what's your reaction? What's the reaction of the folks?
I got to tell you, maybe self-serving, and it's people who come out to our meetings.
They get it.
But the response has been really extraordinary. And not only in Iowa, all over this country, people are saying enough is enough. Think about all the things that we can do as a nation. Why can't we guarantee health care to all people? And every other major country does it. In Germany, many other countries, college tuition is free. Why isn't it free in America? Why do we have the highest rate of childhood poverty when other countries have rates much lower than we have? Why don't we have pay equity for women workers? Why aren't we leading the world in transforming our energy system in terms of climate change? We could do that. Are we dumb? Are we lazy? Not the case.
I want to focus on college. It is expensive. It's exorbitant at this point. Students get out strapped with debt. The American dream escapes them early on if they're ever going to own their own home and have any kind of financial independence. What would you do differently?
I'll tell you what I would do exactly, and we're going to introduce legislation to do it. And it will cost us about $70 billion a year of federal money, or money in general, to provide free tuition in every public college and university in America. $70 billion a year. The Republicans want to give $269 billion in tax breaks to the richest 5,000 families by eliminating the estate tax. We lose $110 billion every year because corporations stash their money in the Cayman Islands and pay nothing in federal taxes. I happen to believe if we're going to be competitive in the global economy, we need the best educated workforce. We need to encourage kids to go to college, graduate school, regardless of their income. We can come up with that money, and that's what I will be fighting for.
What's on your schedule in the next week?
We're going to be speaking to the AFL-CIO on Saturday in New Hampshire. We have a brunch in Manchester, New Hampshire. On Sunday, we'll be doing a national TV show. We're going to be working very hard in the United States Senate. I'm the ranking member on the Budget Committee. This Republican budget is beyond belief. Tax breaks for billionaires, cuts for working families, throwing 27 million people off of health insurance. We're going to be raising hell about that issue as well.
All right. Senator Bernie Sanders, obviously, will visit again. Good to have you with us tonight. Thanks so much.
Great to be with you.
Still to come on The Ed Show, new information.